Oh boy, tight situation here. This is why we call it puppy survival guide right here. Help! But we happen to have a hurricane coming through. That got real out of hand really quickly. I'm Zach George, I'm a dog trainer. Meet my new project, Kona. I've got just 3 weeks to train her and set her up for the most well-behaved life possible. That means I need to work on the most common puppy issues like potty training, how to actually pay attention, stopping things like play biting, chewing, separation anxiety, getting along with other animals, leash walking, and teaching her everything a good dog needs to know. Real dog training doesn't always go smoothly, and that's why I'm going to show you every success and mistake and how I work through all of the most challenging parts of raising a new puppy. Welcome to your new puppy survival guide. I really hope you guys are enjoying Kona's first few weeks of training. For those of you looking for a crash course in getting your puppy trained, you need my completely free digital dog training course, 30-Day Perfect Pup. I designed 30-Day Perfect Pup after my in-person beginner training classes, and it'll teach you how to train all of the foundational skills that every dog needs to know. So, of course, you're gonna get exclusive video lessons from me and access to an incredible private community where you can interact with other pet parents and dog trainers, but you'll also get an amazing app that will help you stay on track and give you easy access to all the lessons no matter where you are. I'm gonna have a link in the description where you can sign up for 30-Day Perfect Pup and download the Pupford app. When you think about all of the ways and the condition and the context in which we expect our dogs to behave, weather is certainly included within that. I mean, our goal is to show our dog what the entire world is like, even when the weather is less than ideal. We talk about how important training outdoors is all of the time, but even outdoors changes from day to day. So today, we happen to have a hurricane coming through. Honestly, I just wanted to get out here for a few minutes, do some walking, do some basic training, and just give her this general experience of being out here under these different conditions. Kona, there we go. I love how she responded there. Look at her just walking like a little prodigy. Looks like she wants to bite her tail for some reason. I like that. That's a cute trick, you know. Hey, up here, Kona, can you sit? Thank you. Nice work. I mean, you can see that wind just blowing on her face, and if you think that that's not overwhelming to her olfactory system, think again. It might seem silly to us as people why that's important, but wind can majorly influence the way a dog responds. I mean, they're just getting flooded with different smells, and remember that dogs really experience the world in huge part through their nose. We're gonna practice the leave it, look at me combo, yet in a new environment, in a different place. And if you think I'm redundant on this, you're right, because every chance I can practice this, leave it, look at me, here, in a new place, the better. So she's distracted by these birds who are really fascinating. Corvids are amazing. Kona, come. Yes, look at that. Look at how eagerly she's prancing to me. I love that. I love that she's enthusiastically coming to me right after looking at those birds. But look at her, she's getting a little far away from me. This is a habit that I kind of want to discourage, so we just kind of pepper in those mini training sessions throughout these socialization experiences. Kona, come. Yeah, woo! Okay, got a little too excited there. Kona, come on. Yes, nice job, girl. There it is. Stay. Yes. Stay. Yes. It's great. It's the best thing ever. Okay, it's like getting hugged by a real world teddy bear. It's amazing. Oh, ow, jeez. Why? Why she goes so cute to so hurtful so fast? Ouch. This is why we call it puppy survival guide right here. Help! Gosh! Sit. That got real out of hand really quickly. Now, if you've read my books or you've watched my videos, you'll know that I'm big on changing as few variables at a time as possible when you're introducing your dog to new concepts, or in this case, to the world in general. The weather now is the variable change. I mean, we don't have any additional people, any additional distractions out here. So this is a good example of changing as few variables at a time as possible. That's not always possible, but sometimes you want that to be your goal, especially if you're struggling with getting your dog's attention in new places. Even though we've got a hurricane coming, we're not gonna let that affect our training plans. The show must go on. So our plan is to continue working on training. After this hurricane blows through, we're gonna go downtown into the French Quarter and do some training in a super distracting public environment. So it should be a lot of fun. Supposed to be a near Cat 3 when it makes landfall. The eye's gonna go right over us. Ring the bell. Yes. All right, double reward, environment and food. Okay, I'm really hoping to get a successful potty break in before this hurricane hits for obvious reasons. Kona! Yeah, come. Good girl. Come on over here, keep coming. There you go. So I'm just trying to motivate her to walk on the grass. You can see how she didn't want to come on the grass. I gave her a little bit of inspiration and motivation. Come on, let's go. That's what I want. I'm trying to get her mind off the treats and onto sniffing. And there we have it, a successful pee. Kona, you have skills. Go pee. Yes! Here's a treat for good measure. I just realized she's never seen an umbrella opening. I guess I'll let her smell it before I open it. Oh, there we go. Look at her. You can see how it's got her attention. She doesn't want to come out here in this weather. She's a little thrown off by it. Kona, what's this? Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on, you can defeat the hurricane. No? Okay. You good? I guess she's good. It's okay to get a little rained on. Water isn't going to hurt them. I'm just checking it out. This is really cool. You know, I mean, obviously, you have to be concerned about the health and safety of everyone who's in the path of our storm, including us. Wow, look at that. Oh, I wonder if I can lean into it with the... Nope, not yet. I always wanted to do that. Nope. Look at this. The eye is literally gonna go right over us. You'll have to trust me on that. But we're super close. Checking out the umbrella. She's doing well. She's just waking up from her nap. I wonder if I should take her out actually. Kona! Come on, let's go. Kona, come. She's a little apprehensive of the hurricane. There's a good gun. Wow, very good. You're doing so well. Look how brave you are. We're out here. I'm just trying to give her the opportunity to relieve herself should she want to. But right now, the worst of the hurricane hasn't come through yet. You can kind of get a sense there how fast it's moving. We somehow are the only people in town who have not lost power yet. Knock on wood. Told I have to do that. So look how calm she's being. We're talking like not no deal for you guys. This is no trouble. Yep. There it goes. I guess see? Still on for now. We'll see how long it stays on. Oh, there it goes again. Jeez, dramatic. Let's get back inside here. You get the point.
Yay!
What? Wow, we keep dodging bullets here. Hey girl, how you doing? All the dogs are doing pretty well. Well, that hurricane came through, and it was the first hurricane I've ever experienced that close, and we ended up losing power, and it was incredible. I've never seen anything quite like that. Well, anyway, we need to get back to training Kona. You know what's really strange? A serious hurricane hit here hours ago. Power's out everywhere, but you know what? We're not gonna let that stop us. We're still gonna do some dog training today. Oh, got a dog over here. I'm gonna pull off to the side. Kona, yes. Good girl. You wanna sit? As we're standing here, another dog comes up, some people walk by. She gets a little thrown off. Good job, stay. The other dogs seem to vocalize and growl a little bit, so it's a potentially dicey situation, maybe. I don't know. I don't know that dog at all. Maybe that dog is the biggest teddy bear on earth. No, that's not possible. You're gonna be the biggest teddy bear on earth. And then as the other people came by, she's continued to bark. You can see, I mean, you know. Kona, sit. Yeah. Nice. So I got her to do a couple of things. Stop barking, look at me, sit, and then I gave her a treat at the end to let her know that I liked that. If, on the other hand, while she was barking, I had issued a harsh physical correction to her, I might risk her correlating, oh, when other dogs or people walk by, I often get a harsh physical correction. That, to me, is one of the huge benefits of positive reinforcement training. You can see, I mean, there were some serious winds that came through, but you can see how even this change of a variable changes our training a little bit. She's got to deal with tree branches on the sidewalk where normally she wouldn't. Kona, what are you doing? I'm just gonna let her smell it, why not? Yeah, that's a palm tree. That's what it smells like, that's what it feels like. These are the moments when you're socializing your dog to new places and letting them get to know the world that you just kind of have to let them do. I mean, think about how that feels on her head as it touches her. Think about how it smells from her unique perspective and how it looks and where it is. Okay, let's go. She looks satisfied. That was healthy. I don't want to let her necessarily sit there all day long, but I mean, it's give and take. I mean, I'm happy to give a young puppy the outlet to check something new out like that, rather than being like, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Got some Silkies or Yorkies ahead. There's even a Chihuahua. Looks like Toy Dog Central. No doubt, lots of dog pee over here. Okay, Kona, come. Yes, there you go. So I said yes there. I thought about giving her a treat, but I'm happy to let the environment serve as the reward. This sign looks like it almost got blown off. In the wake of a natural disaster like this is actually kind of a good time to come down here and train because it's typically a lot busier. This allows me, in that spirit of changing as few variables at a time as possible, to come down here when it's not packed on a Sunday afternoon, and instead, you know, it's more sparse because people are at home. And of course, we would only do that if it's safe. From a dog training perspective, this is an ideal way to introduce a busy city because there are still remnants and scents and still the occasional person and dog coming by. And so they still get a lot of that city experience in, but without being so overwhelmed. I mean, think back to Inertia's first time down here. It did happen to be a little busier than we had anticipated, and she did have a tough time. Ultimately, she came through, but if you can introduce it slowly, all the better. And I love that she's lying down, and I also love that she's comfortable getting a bath, because after lying down on the ground in the French Quarter in New Orleans, you're gonna need one. And while this could have the appearance of bringing our walk to a screeching halt, I also like that she's existing while in a calm state of mind in this place. So I'm happy to tolerate this for a minute or two and then encourage her to move on. Or looks like she's ready to move on. Kona, come. Good girl. Go, keep going, keep going. Man, her leave it is coming in handy here. She's doing much better with the real life leave it. She's not fixating on things very much at all. Nonetheless, she still does it. So here she's getting so focused on a ground scent that I can't get her attention. Let me just give her a second like we're doing, and now let me see if I can encourage her. Kona, come. Yes. Good girl. Here. Do you want? Okay, fine. And again, I'm still getting to know her at that point where it's like, does she prefer to continue on the walk or does she prefer the treat? She's so interested in the walk. And I'm even happy to let her smell the ground for now, as long as we're moving along and getting to our destination. So upon first arriving here, I'm more tolerant. As we've been here longer and longer, I tend to expect just a little bit more of her, but this is gonna vary tremendously from dog to dog. Good girl. You can see how we're walking past pedestrians. We're actually now navigating to a busier portion of the French Quarter, so she's going to get a little more exposure to people. This alley is one of the more ancient parts of the French Quarter. It's like, what, 300 years old or something? Kona! Yeah, so right there, look, let's just let her. She's got flags up here she's looking at. She's never seen flags like that before. Got a cute little puppy walking by over here. She's a little thrown off by that. Hey. Good job, girl. She's gonna catch a scent trail there. I'm gonna let her do that. Let her check out the dog from a distance. And this is a good example here of how the dog is getting farther away, right? Sit. A little distracted. Hear the bell in the background? Sit. Yes. Okay. That was a really good example. As that dog got farther and farther away, she became a little bit more willing to pay attention. See, it's easier for dogs to listen when there isn't a dog nearby or a recent scent trail from a dog left. I mean, it can be any number of things, right? So we found her working distance, then she was a little more willing to pay attention. Kona, okay, look at that responsiveness. Good girl. When I'm training a puppy, I like to offer a lot of positive reinforcement, usually in the form of really good treats, a fun toy that they like, or even just the environment itself. In fact, I use treats so often with dogs that many times, many of you ask me, Zach, you're using so many treats. What are you doing, man? I really think that by rewarding dogs for doing the right thing, that's where you're gonna make the most gains in your training. And that's because you're really providing desirable outcomes around things that your dog does that you want to stick around or be repeated. I love to use treats to bridge my communication with a dog when they're learning something new. That's because dogs at first don't intuitively understand that we expect them to pay attention to us for sustained periods of time. Come on, girl, let's go. That's it. Sirens. I've never heard a siren like that. Did you hear that like different lower pitch there that really got her attention? Really good auditory experience for her. That siren sounds a little different. She notices that. Good girl, that's normal. Since you guys ask about it a fair amount, I do want to touch on why I don't use dog training tools like choke, prong, or electric collars. I really like to minimize the amount of punishment that I use in training. Do I punish dogs? Yes, I do, but I'll get to that in a second. Many dog trainers use positive reinforcement and punishment in their training, and what you find is that some dog trainers will lean more towards the punishment side of training, and some will lean more to the positive reinforcement part of training, right? Well, I definitely lean more to the positive reinforcement side. In other words, and if you get this point, you really get this lesson, I want to use the least harsh method that's likely to actually work. Let's say we were teaching Kona to lie down for the first time. There are a lot of trainers out there who would simply step on the leash like this with a leash attached to the collar and wait for the dog to eventually succumb to the pressure of lying down. Now, of course, I'm not gonna do that, but I'm gonna tell you what my logic is behind this. And even if they reward after the dog goes into the down, they still are not teaching a lie down through reinforcement training primarily anyway. They're relying on force, aren't they? And so what's wrong with that, you might ask? I mean, if it works, right? Contrast that with how a lot of reinforcement trainers will train this. They'll perhaps lure a dog into a down position and then reward to communicate to the dog, hey, that got you something great. But here's where a lot of the confusion goes. Let's say you've sufficiently gone through and you've taught your dog how to do various skills, right? And then they don't do it when you're reasonably confident they understand what you mean and the context in which you're asking them to do it. It's not that we never punish, right? So think back to the case of leave it. Leave it. Good. So simply the act of pulling the treat away in the case of teaching a dog to leave a treat alone is punishment enough. There's no need to be more physical with your dog to teach them to understand a concept. In other words, no need to pull them away when you can simply pull the treat away to teach them that if you want this, this is what you have to do to get it. So back to the example of lie down, if I can accomplish the same thing by luring a dog into a down position, haven't I done the same thing? And isn't it more likely that the dog is in a better frame of mind and more likely to continue on with the training session and look forward to training sessions in the future? So don't get me wrong. I mean, there's definitely more than one way to get a dog to do the same thing. And using force at any level is a way to get results. But if you can get there without using aversive tools, why wouldn't you? So, I mean, think about the big picture. Your long-term goal isn't to get your dog to lie down because they dread the consequence if they don't do it. Instead, we really want our dogs to truly understand our language, our customs, and how to behave within our lifestyle. I mean, regardless of what type of tool we're using. So in the case of using leash pressure to step on the leash to get a dog to lie down, you're really relying on teaching them how to do something from the outside in with a superficial technique rather than truly teaching them to understand internally what you want them to do. So I find it much more beneficial to motivate dogs to want to do things from the inside out long term. Now say I was walking over here close to the river and Kona attempted to bolt into the river. Would I pull her back and make sure that she was safe? Absolutely. I'm still using the least aversive method that's likely to work. In this case, keeping her from falling off of a cliff into the Mississippi River. In that particular example, that's the least aversive method that's likely to keep her safe, and that's okay. By the way, even in that example, that would still be my fault because I put her in a position where she doesn't yet know how to behave. So I had to teach her how to behave better in that situation moving forward, right? Absolutely no trainer or person on earth is perfect at this, especially not me. But I think you'll come out on top if you train your dog in this spirit. Just try to use the least harsh method that'll work at any given time. And you're seeing in every training example with Kona how we really try to accomplish that. So far, it seems to be working. What's the dog? Hi. Nice dog. Hey, look at me. What's this? Oh. Let's see what our working distance is. See how far the dog has to get. Maybe about... Kona, come! Okay, at least about there. I mean, that's a good example of teaching her to listen from the inside out. I didn't pull her away, right? I motivated her to come of her own accord to me. We're gonna get another opportunity here. And you gotta do this a lot, you know? I mean, you have to just really take advantage. Let's see, let me test the working distance and see if it's a little better here with this dog. This dog obviously isn't as interested in Kona, so it might be easier. Kona, what's this? Kona, come. Yeah, there you go. Good girl. You're doing so well. I know a lot of you might be worried that if you're using all these treats and various types of rewards, that your dog might become treat dependent and you'll have to use them forever. You guys have seen from the Inertia series dog training experience that I used a ton of treats from day one, but I rarely use treats for things that she has clearly learned and demonstrated she understands anymore. Okay, so let's go over the general formula for phasing out treats eventually. So let's say we were trying to teach a dog how to look at us. We might start by holding up a treat right to our eye line right here and giving them a little piece of the treat, right? What's this? Yes, good. Now, a lot of people might say, okay, big deal. You're getting them to look at a treat, right? But I mean, if you think about it, when you're trying to get a baby to look at a camera, you'll make a little sound right behind the camera to try and get them to look. It's not that you're relying on that to teach them how to communicate forever and ever, right? You're just trying to get that little bit of traction. Yes, the treats are just a catalyst for igniting that communication between you and your dog. In Kona's case, if you've been watching the series, you've seen how we've phased in, leave the treat alone, and pay attention to me. Yes, just like that. But in the beginning, just holding up that treat is where I needed to start to get her looking at this part of my body up here. And at first, your dog learns I do A and I get a treat, or I do B and I get a toy. They actually come to expect it, and at this point in their training, that is totally fine. You've got a dog willingly doing something in exchange for a dog treat. It's a good deal. And using heavy rewards with your dog needs to last longer than most people might expect, 6 to 12 months, depending on the skill or the context in which you're teaching a particular skill. And there are no shortcuts to teaching your dog how to behave contextually. You'll need time for that. Now, as your dog performs more and more reliably on what you're asking them to do, only then do you start to phase out treats over time. This is important, guys. This does not happen at one time, but it happens through intermittent rewarding. So in short, you go from rewarding your dog frequently to less frequently while randomly adjusting the rate at which you reward during any given training session. For example, sit, stay. I'll take a lie down. Okay, come. Sit, give me another lie down. Oh, perfect. Okay, good girl. We had a sit/lie down, a stay, which was looking really good, a come when called, another sit, another lie down and stay, and of course the release there. We got her to perform all of those skills for one treat. Now, I could have probably even skipped the treat, but I wouldn't want to cut off the treats all at one time, right? I would then want to reward every third or fourth time, and occasionally mix it up. Maybe reward 3 times in a row, you know, to keep them guessing, right? Don't feel like you have to remember all of this. I do detail it in my book, so I'll have links below. Kona, let's go. There are definitely those times though where your dog is so excited that getting a treat from you, no matter how good it is the farthest thing from their mind. This doesn't mean that you can't train your dog with treats. It just means you put them in a situation where they're a little too distracted and you have to work up to that. And you'll find that it happens more frequently when you're in new places around heavier and heavier distractions. Don't worry, we got you covered. That's why we're out here today. Interesting. Happy to let her back away there. And see, this is a good example. The skateboard's coming closer, it's getting farther away. She can watch it at a safer distance. great. Don't be in a rush to train your dog when you're doing these types of socialization sessions. Give them a chance to take it in and understand it before you start asking them to pay attention to you and perform basic obedience skills. All right, so we have Kona's first mule here. Then you can see her immediate reaction is, what the heck is that? Very good. Good girl. Good mule. Well done. Yeah. Kona, come. Sit. Yes. Good girl. Really good reaction to the mule there. With my very own dog, Inertia, she had a completely different reaction when she first started seeing mules. I think that's the value of doing a series like this. You get to really zoom in on each dog's individual issues and understand their personalities, thereby making it easier to teach your own dog. Hey, for those of you with dogs, sign up for my totally free digital dog training course, 30-Day Perfect Pup. I'll have all the details in the description. Subscribe to my channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and get a copy of both of my books. Again, all those links will be below